What's up, everybody? All right, man. Look, today I wanna teach some people something important. I want to teach people how to play by ear. Um, Sheet music is important for what it's important for. It can be incredibly limiting. Because you sort of begin to only rely on what you can see and question the things that you can't. Okay. So I want to teach you how to play music by ear. How do you do that? How do you hear a sound and translate that to notes? I can tell you that the biggest thing is that the emotion behind what you're playing or what you're hearing is going to be like the biggest thing. You're going to have to associate emotion with your playing. So you're going to have to say, okay, this is a dark sound. This is a light sound. You may have to even associate colors with it. You're going to have to say, okay, this is a jazzy sound here. This is a medieval sound. This is a very bright sound. This is a circus sound. You don't have to really associate those things. That's the part that I can't give you. You have to do that on your own. But I can. What I'm going to do today, I'm going to give you tools to try to bring that out of you. But you have to come up with your own methods of associating that sound with what you can relate to. I've seen some people relate it to food, some people relate it to weather, some people relate it to colors, pictures, feelings, all sorts of things. And if it works, it works, and that's what's most important. All right. So, um, I'm gonna tell you some of the things that I did that helped me. Okay. First thing, and it's almost first and last. You're gonna have to memorize a couple of progressions. All right. Essentially, you're gonna have about six progressions that you just have memorized up here, and depending on what genre you play is depending on the progression and how important it is to memorize it. The priority. Okay. So for me, this is how I started. Okay. This was the very first progression that I memorized. All right. Oh, I'm gonna be in C sharp today. Okay. So this is the very first progression I memorized. C sharp is your one. All right. E flat is your two. F is your three. F sharp is your four. A flat is your five. All right. B flat is your six. C is your seven. And you're back at your one or your eight. Okay. So this is the very first one I memorized. So I memorized that. Nothing more. And you get that in your head, right? Do, ooh. And I've given out the chords for these, but this is an even more simpler thing. Okay, we're gonna play the same note, and we're just gonna add thirds. Don't let that scare you away if you're very new to this. Okay, just gonna add these thirds. So it's like I'm going down the scale, starting from the three. And I heard that. So what it was about was if a song did that, if I caught that piece, if I caught it I knew it was here, right? And then I learned that same progression starting from your four, and that was like that covered a lot of songs for me. And, la, la, right. Here was another one. Here was the second one I learned. All right. That was it. And we've all heard that. You can recognize that when you hear it. Whatever place that takes you to, let it take you there. So when you hear it say, doo, you know, I'm here. Doo. That was like the second one I learned. Then I learned the concept after that. I learned the concept of the five and how the five takes you to the one and how you're hearing. That's what you're hearing. Or that. So anytime you have that suspense, I learned that that suspense was just a 4 over a 5. So if I heard a song, and I almost said I felt the song, because it's like if you feel a song going, then you know it's, you know, you feel that, and you say 5. You just think 5, and they may be doing other stuff, and they may be doing, you know, you may be here, but you're just thinking 5, 5. It's resolving 5, 5, 1, and that's all I would think, right? Here was something else that I memorized. Because like I said, you have about 6, and I've given you 3. I've given you 3. I've given you that goes into because you're just doing it. And then I've given you and some was slower. And sometimes, you know, it even started from a different one. But it's the exact same progression. It just started from a different number. It's like if I give you a pattern, if I give you a pattern such as, just making it up, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. And instead of it being 1, 2, 3, 4, it was 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. You see, it's the same number in just a slightly different order. Okay. Speaking of that, ironically enough, here was the third one. Well, not third one, but here was like the fourth or the fifth one I learned. Okay. It was 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And I would sit around and I would just listen to that. And I would have that in my head as that's 1, 2, 3, 4. And when I would listen to songs, I would, of course I couldn't hear all of it, but what I heard helped me paint a picture that was starting to resemble that song without having to go to tutorials and without having to wonder what it was. And I listened to the bass note, and I think that's so important. I listened to the bass note because melodies change, you know, but the bass is a foundation. And unless you're listening to super advanced stuff, which isn't great for your ears at this stage, then that bass note is going to be more consistent than your melody, because If you're listening to the melody, all right, this thing that's not gonna tell you nothing, but this there's a lot of information in that. All right, that tells you what scale you're in. That tells you where you're going. That's telling you the story. You know, it's kind of like when you have two people telling the same story and people giving different details and emphasis on different parts of the story. You're concerned about the substance of the story, not the fluff behind it. Okay, for now. All right. Here was another one that I learned. All right, and this is I started getting into more in depth stuff. Right, 2, 3, 4. And what I would do is when I learned stuff, I would keep doing it over and over. Right, until I just had it in my head. And when I heard it, I said, "Oh, that sounds like a 2, 3, 4 belongs there." You know. Um, Here was something else. I started learning the concept behind flat sevens and how that felt to resolve to the one. All right, threw something extra in, but the concept between how does this flat seven sound instead of the five. So if I did 2, 3, 4, but that's what happens when you have all these pieces and you start to put them together and you start to see how it fits and how does it fit this way, how does it fit this way, you know. Um, and as I became more and more adapt to music, you start paying attention to other things, such as okay, there's a circle. There are circle of fifths movements, right? And you learn what circle of fifth movements sound like, and boy, did they sound weird when I first started music. And you learn that there are you kind of learn uh that whole idea, and you start learning the chords behind it. So you start learning what the 7 3 6 sounds like. You know, the regular 5 1 4. That 5 1 4. You start to really learn what that sounds like, what that feels like, and you know what chords feel good to you. So when you hear those chords, you know exactly where you're at. I began to learn alternate cadences, alternate endings. And I would just play those over and over. And now when I hear that, I know what it is. I began to experiment with what sounds I was hearing when it wasn't the one that it was resolving to. Right. Um, Man, it's just so much. But it starts off, you know your scale, and you just begin to you listen down low, and you just begin to say, okay, what is this? What am I hearing played when I hear For me as a churchy musician, right? What sound am I hearing when I hear, right? What is that? If I can just memorize that, then I'm starting to fight the battle, right? It's not the whole battle, but I'm starting to fight the battle. So now if I hear the musician say, I say, okay, I know where he's at. We don't have to make eye contact. If I hear him, you know, I'm feeling that now. I know exactly where we're at. I start to feel, I'm like, okay, that's that sound. Um, and let me give you advanced musicians something, man. The tritones, hearing hearing tritone substitution, hearing that, knowing what's being played, right? You know, understanding what's really going on. Man, so much that I can give you guys. Um, Another cool one. This is kind of going back down to this more simpler side. Another cool one was, right, learning how to make that climbing sound, that climbing, wandering sound, going anywhere. Right, learning how to do that, right, and then begin to learning what a diminished felt like. You know, now as an advanced musician, you learn what color you're hearing, right? So if I hear, you know, right, like if I'm hearing that, you know, if I'm hearing that those diminished movements, I know, okay, that's happening within the diminished scale. From you advanced musicians, if I'm hearing, knowing that's happening within Lydia, knowing those sounds, right? Knowing your Dorian sounds, knowing your Locrian sounds, right? And you will begin to expand your ear, and it won't always be easy. There'll be times where you be playing chords, and you can only. I almost want to say, when you're working by ear, you can kind of only hear what you hear and what you know. So make sure you expand your hearing outside of just your genre, so that you can really get a full idea for how chords and how music is used, because there are only 12 notes, but yet it's so much music out there. So there are a lot of different ways people are hearing things, and it's good for you, you know. And stay in touch with channels like mine's, and not just channels that there's nothing wrong with other YouTube channels. I'm not slandering anybody, but not just channels that just give you a sound and until you have at it, uh, you want more than just, right, like, here's this sound right here, you know there's your core for the day. You need more than that. You need to understand how stuff works and why stuff works, what it truly is a substitution for. Everybody doesn't like theory, but I tell you, it takes you a long way. You need to know why stuff works. And as an advanced musician, you need to understand that there are times where you're hearing things, and what you're hearing alone is just a substitution, and it can really advance your playing, because you as a when you're playing by ear, you don't want to be limited either by only what you can hear, but you want to be able to incorporate what you can think of, and build off of each other's ideas. And so, I mean, it's really a beautiful thing, right? Really a beautiful thing. Um, but I'll be going into some more detail on playing by ear. Just get you some progressions, some simple progressions. Get you some simple progressions and learn those. You know, learn those to death. Just learn those. Get familiar with that sound. And you'll know what you're hearing. I promise you'll know what you're hearing. All right, you guys. I'm out.